go.
Hey, it's Morgan on News with Morgan, and today I'm here with a very special guest. Her name is Tanya Elvestine from the book 13 Treasures by Michelle Harrison. She came out of her way to be here today, and she's even giving everyone in the audience a free copy of her book, 13 Treasures. Now let's give a round of applause for Tanya. Tanya, I just really admire that you can see fairies. I think that's such a cool fact that you have, but I guess it's not that good for you. Tanya, what is your biggest fear? My biggest fear would have to be getting sucked into the fairy realm forever. The fairies have always warned me to be extremely careful of what I do, because they could easily lure me into the fairy realm, and it would be extremely hard to get out. What annoys you the most? That's an easy question, Morgan. The fairies annoy me the most. They are always getting me into trouble. They're the whole reason the problem in the book started. If it wasn't for them, I would have never been sent to my grandmother's manor in the first place. Is there anything that can protect you from fairies? Of course there is. I learned it from this big book I found in my grandmother's library. I learned that if you wear your clothes inside out, that helps. Put salt in your pocket, and wear red. That's why I'm wearing red today. But the closer you get to the fairy realm, the harder these things will protect you. Did you learn anything in the story? I probably learned the most important lesson in the world, and that has to do with friendship. I learned that you can find friends in the least expected places. For example, Fabian, my grandmother's servant's son. I visited the Elvestine Manor many times in my life, but I've always thought Fabian was annoying. Never as much as the fairies, though. Then somehow we became friends, and he was the first person ever to find out that I can see fairies. Was there a point in the story you were afraid you were going to fail? Well, I could have easily failed or given up in the story many times, but the time I really thought I was going to give up was when Morena Bloom had me close to being trapped in the fairy realm forever. She had fairies wrap unbreakable string around me called spider twine around me. I was officially trapped, and at midnight I would be sucked into the fairy realm forever. Fabian had escaped, and I knew he would be too afraid to return. On top of all that fairy business, what is your family like? The fairies have reflected on my life so much that I have a really strange relationship with my family. My parents are divorced, and my mom never lets me see my dad's side of the family because she's afraid I'm going to cause trouble, even though I know it's just the fairies. If my mother gets mad at me, she sends me to my grandmother's manor where I don't feel very welcome. My grandmother seems to hate me. Her servant's always hunting. His son was annoying before we became friends, and his grandfather just sits up in bed all day. So I have a strange relationship with my family and the people that just seem like family to me. What is it called when you see fairies? When I see fairies, it is called second sight. The second sight is usually passed down by someone blood related. You usually start seeing fairies when you are very young. Some people with the second sight never find out who that blood related relative is, but I did. But you have to read the book to find out. Why are the woods called Hangman's Woods? In the story, I would have never found out what the woods were called if it wasn't for Fabian. When we were in the woods for the first time, he went up to a tree and said, "This must be one of the trees." I asked him what tree, and he said a long time ago people used to hang people on these trees. That's why it's called Hangman's Woods. Can you describe your grandmother's manor for us? My grandmother's manor isn't very welcoming. There are fairies practically swarming and there are more vines growing on the manor every time I go. There are too many rooms for her to take care of, and the house can get a little messy. When you go into the backyard of my grandmother's house, she doesn't let me and Fabian go past the brook because then you enter Hangman's Woods. Tanya, before you came here, I did a little research on fairies myself. I learned that a brownie is a fairy, not just a delicious dessert. Can you explain to our audience what a brownie is? A brownie fairy is a fairy that kind of messes up household chores. The brownie fairy at my grandmother's house used to sit in the sugar jar, and it didn't make the sugar taste very good. Wow, Tanya, that is definitely an interesting life you've got there. Thank you so much for coming here today for that interview. Everyone give Tanya a round of applause, and I think you should all read your hard copy of 13 Treasures donated by Tanya. The book will be handed out at the end of our show. Let's give one more round of applause for Tanya for everything she has done for us today.